During our absence, a lot of discussion about Vinicius Jr. and his future, as he's only got 1 year left in his contract, yet to sign a new deal. Vinicius is back until how long, though, is the front page of AS. Jules is with us. Jules, is this just your normal standoff and he looking for more money, or could Real Madrid really let him go?
I don't think they can afford to let him go, Dan, but this is normal procedure. He's got 1 year left on his contract. It's actually quite hard to understand and to comprehend how Real Madrid found themselves in this position with arguably the best player they've had in the last 5 years or so, one of the best in the world in this position, certainly, to have given him that power that now he can decide really what happens next, because with 1 year left on his contract at Real Madrid, he's got all the cards in his hands. And for a club like Real Madrid, not just Real Madrid, but we talked about other clubs who were in a similar position with some of their star players, even recently with Liverpool, for example, it's very hard to understand how you can let that happen. However, this is the situation. It's normal for Viní and his people, his agents, to talk to other clubs right now or to see what others could offer, where he might end up if there's no extension to Real Madrid. It's normal for them to still talk to Real Madrid, because I really believe that he wants to stay and Real Madrid wants him to stay as well. And for Real Madrid right now, I really don't think you can afford to let him go. And if there's no agreement found on his extension, then very quickly you have to make a decision. If there's no extension and you believe that he can't leave on a free in 12-month time, obviously, then you'll have to set a price and see what the offers are coming from other clubs in Europe.
To that point, sorry, just one sec, Craig. I didn't know this was going to be our graphic. There's no way that Arsenal could get anywhere near the wages that he'd want, is there, Jules?
I think that's very difficult. Yeah. He's one of the highest paid player in the world. Not just that, but image rights and things like that. Plus, there will be a transfer fee, and there's no way, even with 1 year left on his contract, that Real Madrid don't ask at least 100 million euros. So on top of that, you give him a 5-year deal on probably, Erling Haaland is now the highest paid player in the Premier League, but something very similar, probably very close to 400, slightly maybe more, £400,000 a week on 5 years, plus the transfer fee. This is an enormous investment from Arsenal, and maybe they can do it. Maybe they can find the money. Maybe a couple of more players would go and things like that. But this is a huge investment for them. If he comes to Arsenal, I think it's a game changer. But financially, they will need all the numbers to add up really to attract him to the club.
So is he looking for, I don't know if you know this, Jules, is he looking for something at Real Madrid? Because you're right, he is holding all the cards in terms of, ever since the Bosman ruling goes into the last year, then as long as you're a player that is something that almost everybody would take at a reasonable price, then you are the chief man in the poker game. But is he looking for something in terms of the money at Real Madrid that's parity with the likes of Kylian Mbappé, or is he looking to be? What are you laughing at?
Chief man in the poker game.
Don't play poker. Well, he's a big chief in the poker game, isn't he? Is he looking for something that's parity with Mbappé, or is he looking to be basically the highest paid player at Real Madrid?
No, I was told that he wants a pay rise. He's already on an enormous amount of money, but that he wants a pay rise that will get him close or on a similar level to what Kylian is earning. And again, I don't think this is unrealistic from his point of view to kind of request that when you see the numbers. And we can look at 25-26 season individually and collectively and say that Viní was not his best and the team was not his best. Sure, but he also won them Champions Leagues before and titles. And usually in this position, you get a pay rise, wherever you are in those big clubs, when you're a player like Vinicius at his age, because let's not forget, he's reaching now his peak years. It's not like if he was 30 already or about to get 30. This is a really good age for Real Madrid to extend him or for somebody else to go and sign him. So I think the money that he's asking is fair.
You're the big poker guy. You're the big chief. When all the people go around your house, those boring people that go around your house for the cucumber sandwiches, with a glass of water. And you have a lovely game of poker.
Is there any world in which we can spin this to say this would actually be good for Real Madrid if he left?
Look, nobody's irreplaceable. Yeah. Nobody is irreplaceable, but you have to replace.
Right.
And I think maybe, and I might be wrong here, I think it seems to me, as well as the money, part of the stumbling block, I think at times, is just persona and attitude.
Yeah.
And I think that would be a risk for other clubs if you end up...
You take it back to the first Clasico, the Xavi Alonso, everything that happened.
Well, it basically became... I mean, I'm sure he wasn't the only one, but he certainly wasn't... I certainly don't think he was receiving a Christmas card from Xabi Alonso. It was pretty clear that him and his team, and they were publicly quoted on this, were not happy with the amount of minutes that he was getting, and it became a bit of a fight between the two in terms of a power struggle, which ultimately that Alonso lost. As I say, I'm sure he wasn't the only player that wasn't happy. But yeah, no, I could see look, Kylian Mbappé might leave. Erling Haaland comes in, different type of player, but scores goals. There's always somebody that could come in and replace you. I mean, one of the lads, you could probably take at least a couple of the lads from PSG that would come in and be an adequate replacement in the wide positions, be it Doué, Barcola, Elise, Dembele, any of those boys, and there are other, Kvaratskhelia. So no, he's not. And I think the big risk is if he goes somewhere else, which I don't think he will, as Gilles mentioned, the amount of salary, the amount of pay you're going to have to pay him. And then we know if it's not going his way, he can be a problem.
It's the attitude.
It'd be great if we got to Chelsea, wouldn't it?
Aye.
Here you are, Xavi.
I mean, it's just...
See what we got you?
Yeah, we got you a special present.
Apparently he loves your training.
Who would you think would be more upset?
Oh, well, Alonso would be out the door, wouldn't he? He would last 2 seconds.
I mean, listen, that's... In all honesty, we're pretty much talking about his attitude.
Yeah.
Because if it's Messi at that age, even the argument about, well, the whole dressing room's going to want the same amount of money, blah, blah, that doesn't apply really with Messi, because everybody knows it's Messi. But if I'm a player in that Arsenal dressing room, for example, and I've got Viní Jr. coming in, and he's going to be on ridiculously stupid money, and I know he's not going to run for me, I'm going to have a problem with that. And surely, if I'm writing the cheque at Arsenal, I'm asking the manager first and foremost, hold on a second, we've just seen what this guy's done over the last couple of years at Real Madrid, how he's kind of blown everything up in the dressing room. His behaviour on the field has been just atrocious, particularly in the big game with Barcelona. But you're asking me to sign a cheque, and we don't know what we're going to get. I think it completely changes the narrative, and it certainly makes his options are small.
Arsenal have signed players before, after their huge success under Arsene Wenger. Not maybe to this standard, but they signed players once after the 2004-05 season when they last won the title. When they had the drought, they'd gone down a bunch of really talented players who didn't work particularly hard. Alexis Sanchez, Mesut Ozil, they signed Pepe, thought he was going to be brilliant. Yeah. A flash in the pan.
That was Jules' advice. They said to sign.
They did have a lot of players who you would consider extremely talented, but were liabilities when they didn't have the ball. And Mikel Arteta has gone the other way with this Arsenal team. To take them to the Champions League final, to take them to the summit in the Premier League again, is good players who work really good players who work really hard. And that's been the staple for them at Arsenal. That's been where they've had their recent success. Not by thinking, right, you know what, we could just go out and get somebody who's extra special, but it does upset the apple cart, both in terms of salary and potentially in terms of not pulling your weight when you're in a big game. So for those reasons, I wouldn't see him going to Arsenal.
There has been, though, a major overhaul at Real Madrid over the summer. Of course, Jose Mourinho coming in. Diomande is reported to be making that move from Leipzig to Real Madrid. We heard Leipzig come out, Jules, and say, no, this isn't going to happen, but you feel that it will inevitably happen at some stage before the window closes. For people who haven't seen Diomande, how does he fit into this Real Madrid side?
Well, I think he would be signed to play on that right-hand side. Obviously, if you think about Mbappé central and Viní on the left, if Viní stays, obviously, I still think that Diomande's best position is probably more onto the left-hand side, where he played mostly with Ivory Coast at the World Cup, although he played a lot on the right as well for Leipzig. So I don't think really right or left matters to him. He's very able with his right foot and his left foot. Last season was his first one really for a good European club. Before that, there was Leganés, in La Liga in Spain. But Leipzig, he showed all the potential and talent at only 19 years old of what he could do. Yet spending 130 million, which is what Real Madrid are about to spend on him, is still a bit of a gamble because the talent is there. But then we've all seen very talented 19-year-old players who never really made that step up. So this is the money that PSG didn't want to pay, for example. They stopped at 100 million and they say, that's the valuation we have on him. If you're Leipzig, you're not happy with that, then sorry, we can't go higher up. Real Madrid seems okay and happy to go for 130, which again I think is borderline silly money, really, for a player like Diomande, as talented as he is, a bit like what Chelsea paid for Rodgers in a sense. But the talent is there, and if Mourinho can help developing a bit more of that talent, nurturing all that talent, he can go to the next level, and then I think he's got everything to be one of the best players.
Where's the common sense gone? Where's common sense gone? We've sat here over definitely the last 12 months in particular going, they got a problem, Real Madrid. Mbappé wants to play on the left, and Viní wants to play on the left as well. So guess what? Let's go and spend over 100 million on a guy who really wants to play on the left as well.
Well, you can play on the right.
It's mad.
You can play on the right.
If you're spending
Did you hit the desk
if
at
you're
that point?
spending 120 million on a player,
Yes.
and you're not going to play him in his best position, really?
Yeah.
Does that make any sense to anybody?
I think the money in general
on.
just has gone. I mean, it's a different.
Seriously.
But, you know, Rodgers is a very good player, but really, Elliot Anderson's a really good player, but really, and now as Jules mentioned, the money that's been thrown about now, of these transfers is not. It's not really realistic in terms of balancing it with the talent of these players. It's just became utterly stupid, and it's no wonder some clubs that are obviously not as elite as Real Madrid and others at the top of the food chain go out and source a lot of cheaper players and sell them on at vast amounts of money. That's where to make money these days. You go and harness. You know, Morgan Rogers was it 8 million? They signed him from Borough because Unai Emery saw him in some League Cup game or whatever it was and went, I like him, and they sell him for over 10 times. There's so many people out there just willing to pay this crazy money for players. It almost puts a lot of other clubs out of reach of even bidding for some of these players. It's so expensive.
One player that certainly won't be that expensive, Jules, but we'll talk about just as much, is Rodri. Where do we stand on the possibility of him playing for Real Madrid at the start of the season?
Well, I mean, like we just said with Diomande, Real Madrid have other, I guess, priorities there because Rodri is injured right now. He had surgery on his back, which was expected and should not be out for too long. We probably expect him back in 2 months, ready to play. So there's no urgency really from a Real Madrid point of view because you know that he's not going to be able to play in the next few weeks anyway. So let's sort out Diomande first. Let's sort out Viní first, which are the priorities right now. And then look for Rodri and look at a solution for Rodri who wants to come to Madrid. I think Real Madrid, and there were conflicting reports with people within the club. Some wanted Rodri, others wanted a younger player. Rodri is about to turn 30, by the way. And you can understand why, if you're Real Madrid, Rodri looked great at the World Cup, but that was over 8 games. Mm-hmm. His season with Man City had more ups and downs, really. And if you're Real Madrid, and some people at the club really believe that maybe a younger defensive midfielder that might mean just not at the level of Rodri just now, but will be for the next 5 to 8 years, makes more sense than going for Rodri now with a kind of longish contract at 30 with the uncertainty over the injuries, not just the big one that he had previously, but also the back one that he's out now for, makes more sense. But I still expect Rodri to probably make that move and then City to replace him with Ayoub Bouhaddi, the wonder kid from Morocco and Lille.
But you just know Mourinho doesn't want that second option, does he? He wants the first option, which is the guy that can do it from now, the experienced guy, the player that they don't have.
Can he do it from now if he's injured all the time?
Well, the one thing I would say, you could look at a lot of players at Real Madrid and say, well, he could plug that hole, he could plug that hole, he could do that. Stevie mentioned the front boys, you could shuffle them all around. They haven't got that player, be it Rodri or anybody else. They haven't had it since Kroos and Modric. Mm-hmm. They've got too many. They've got Camavinga. Camavinga was terrible last year. Valverde's more of a runner. You know, we've got Lexi Arda Güler and Brahim Diaz. They're not really natural midfielders. They don't have anybody with that nous and experience that can pass the ball and keep the ball like him. The big question is his fitness. And Jules is right. What we saw from him in the summer is not what we saw generally from him at Manchester City.
So why would it change?
Okay, well, he's
only 30. He's not 35. He's only 30 years old. I mean, look at Modric. Left Real Madrid when he was, 38, 37? Can you imagine somebody when he was 30 saying, oh, he's 30? we need to start looking to replace
But
him.
there is a big gamble there. There's a big element of doubt.
Well, and here's the thing. If you want to look at what they're talking about spending on Diamande and maybe spending on Viní, and you're telling me that you're not going to take a little gamble on the money that Rodri's going to be. You wouldn't gamble that. Just because, yes, he missed a whole load of the season with Man City, but it was coming back from that ACL. It takes time, but he did show you what he's capable of when he's in some sort of shape in the World Cup. And you're not going to gamble on that.
It's against much inferior opposition, though, in a sense, isn't it?
Look, you know, if you get Rodri fit, you know what you're going to get. You absolutely. And you're telling me you're going to gamble all that money on those two up the front, and you're not going to take a gamble on a position that, since Tony Cruz left, has absolutely destroyed the middle of your pack. You've won nothing in the last 2 years. So you're telling me that's not worth a gamble on Rodri? 100% it's worth it.